President Trump today signed 4 measures meant to provide financial relief to American families. But the executive actions bypass Congress and could face legal challenges. Here's reporter Michael George.
President Trump signed the executive actions at his New Jersey golf club after talks hit a wall on Capitol Hill.
We've had it, and we're going to save American jobs and provide relief to the American workers.
The president's move Saturday aims to defer evictions, freeze payroll taxes for workers making about $100,000 or less, and extend 0% interest on student loans. On the most contentious issue, the president gives unemployed workers an extra $400 in weekly benefits, with states footing a quarter of the bill. Democrats want to extend the $600 weekly supplement that recently expired. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer released a statement tearing into the measures, saying in part, instead of passing a bill, now President Trump is cutting families' unemployment benefits and pushing states further into budget crises, forcing them to make devastating cuts to life or death services. Whether President Trump has the legal standing to act on his own remains unclear.
If we get sued, it's somebody that doesn't want people to get money. Okay, and that's not going to be a very popular thing.
On Friday, the government reported the jobless rate eased to 10.2% as employers added close to 2 million jobs last month. But economists say there's still a long and uncertain road ahead. Michael George, CBS News.